viewers, welcome to Cape Coast, the former capital of the Gold Coast. Cape Coast was the first region the Europeans made contact with when they came to the Gold Coast. On today's episode, we are going to look at sights and sounds that make up Cape Coast what it is. A well-orchestrated plan by our colonial masters. If you look behind me, you will see the Cape Coast Castle. Right in front of me, the Elmina Castle. This shows how planning is good in our everyday living. Our colonial masters planned it very well. Elmina Castle is just 20 minutes away from the Cape Coast Castle. In view of GH-Aviation's quest to bridge the gap between aviation and tourism for sustainable socio-economic development, we bring you sights and sounds of Cape Coast. Aviation Canteen Show is here to provide you with gossips, informations, education on how we can bridge the gap between aviation and tourism. This is a wonderful tourist site. We indulge everyone, be it a Ghanaian, be it a foreigner, wherever you are. Come visit Ghana, eat Ghana, wear Ghana, do everything Ghana. This is your host Elizabeth of Aviation Canteen. We are here to project Cape Coast in the tourist light. We want to talk about what makes Cape Coast Cape Coast.
The facts are simple. Number one, Cape Coast and Elmina, in history, are said to have been one of the first places where the white man ever stepped foot on before reaching out to other parts of the country. Aside that, we have the castle here in Cape Coast, the Cape Coast Castle, where the major trade business went on during the era when the Europeans and the Americans came to Ghana, and the edifice is still there. Now, aside that, you have the lagoon, the Fosu Lagoon. Right from here, this is Asasipa, and to my left is the ocean, the sea. And then behind you is the Fosu Lagoon, which is also about tourism, Aside that, this place, Cape Coast, if you know about Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of blessed memory, the first president of the Republic of Ghana, he used to have some meetings here during that time, and the place where he had those meetings is still here in Cape Coast. It's very historic, and when we are talking about tourism, we are talking about also history of the people. How did the people travel to this far? What happened? What are the things that they went through, the challenges that they faced, and so on and so forth? What are the landmarks that we can talk about? It's all about tourism, Aside that, the central region has a lot of tourist sites. And if you talk about the Kakum National Park, it is here in the central region. Nobody travels from Accra to Kakum National Park without passing through Cape Coast. So all these give you the indication that Cape Coast is one of the tourist centers in our country. Right. Apart from that, we have the Fetu Afashe, one of the largest festivals or well-attended festivals in Ghana, and that takes place from the latter of August to the first week in September. Every year, it's an annual festival. All these are tourist attractions that can attract tourists to the region.
If you can educate us on the festivals, for instance, the Fetu Afashe. Why is it Fetu Afashe? The Cape Coast Castle, the demarcations to the Cape Coast Castle, and then a little history about the Cape Coast Castle as well.
It's very simple to come to Cape Coast in the first place because Cape Coast lies in between Greater Accra region and the Western region, you know. So, for example, if you are traveling either from Accra to Takoradi or from Takoradi to Accra, you definitely pass through Cape Coast. So, it's not a big deal for anybody wanting to travel to Cape Coast.
You have a tourist boarding a flight from Accra to Takoradi, and then the person wants to come to Cape Coast. How many hours from Takoradi to Cape Coast by road or by any means of transport?
Yeah, if somebody wants to travel from Takoradi to Cape Coast, I think that it's very short as compared to traveling from Kumasi. From Takoradi to Cape Coast, it's about 1 hour 20 minutes, or sometimes lesser, depending on the traffic situation, you know. And then one thing that I forgot to mention is also about the university. We have the Cape Coast University, and then we have the Polytechnic also here in Cape Coast. Now, when you are traveling from Takoradi to Cape Coast, your first point of contact will be at the university. There is the university gate, main gate, when you are traveling from Takoradi, and then just by the main gate, when you get there, you turn through your right, and that road is called the Bacano Road, and it takes you all the way from the Cape Coast Junction, University Junction, to Cape Coast Town, and then you have the Cape Coast Municipal Hospital. Right from the University Junction, you get to Cape Coast Municipal Hospital, and then you come to Asasipa, where we are now. Then from Asasipa to Bacano, and then Bacano you are going through town, or you take through Town Hall to the Cape Coast Castle, where we also have the Jubilee Park. So in order to get to Cape Coast from Takoradi, this is a brief demarcation or description that I can give. And likewise, if you are coming from Accra, you get to Yamransa Junction, you follow suit up to where the toll booth is. Then after the toll booth, you come to Agri Memorial Zion Secondary School, and then after that you take to the left. So after the Agri overhead, you turn to the left into Cape Coast. Then from there, you will come to a roundabout called Petru. And from the roundabout, you follow straight up to the Cape Coast Castle, you know, and the main city inner of Cape Coast. So it is not difficult also to arrive from Accra to Cape Coast.
But how many hours from Accra to Cape Coast?
From Accra to Cape Coast is almost the same distance as from Takoradi to Cape Coast. The difference is that the traffic situation in Accra is more severe, so you might delay a bit. But once you get out of Kaswa, it takes not more than 1 hour 20 minutes to Cape Coast. We also have some indicators that help to promote tourism in the center here at Cape Coast. One of them is the hotels and restaurants, because as you know, tourists are not in their home country, and therefore they can't prepare food for themselves or go shopping on their own here. They will have to depend on facilities that we have available, and thankfully we have all these facilities available here in Cape Coast. Next is about what makes the tourist happy, because after going out to the castle, visiting the canopy walk and other tourist sites, what happens at night? In the evening, what happens? Do they take dinner and straight away go to bed? Of course, no. There is the need for them to be entertained. There's the need for them to see something extra. The edifice that they see is not enough. but they want to see a bit of the behavior of the people. Not the kind of behavior when you go to the restaurant and somebody comes to serve you. Not the kind of behavior when you go to the market to buy something and somebody attends to you. But behavior emanating from the cultural milieu of the people. Therefore, we cannot do away with our music and dance. Because whether you like it or not, our music and dance play a very pivotal role in our society. And therefore, when the tourists have had a long day and they have relaxed to take their meal and a drink, they will be even happier to see a product in terms of performance, to get them fully satisfied at the end of the day. So we have lots of cultural groups in Cape Coast. And one of them is the Afrimuda Foundation, where you are now. We provide our restaurants and bars, hotels with some entertainment for their guests. So that area is there, and I can assure you that when tourists come to Cape Coast, they will not be disappointed. You are advocating for how tourism and in collaboration with aviation can improve in our country. Yes, what I have to say about that is that the government has a lot to do, because when we talk about tourism is one of the outlets that brings income to the country. Yes, and the economy grows. We are talking about borrowing every now and again. We can generate internally through some of these outlets. And tourism is one of them, because when people travel to any country for tourism purpose, they have a budget. And their intention is that whatever budget they send there must be exhausted over there before they return. So when somebody brings, let's say, $10,000 into the country, their primary objective is to spend that money and go back, because they have budgeted for it already. But how do we encourage them to spend all this money here and go? Apparently, there's not enough encouragement, enough motivation that will allow them to spend their money and let the money stay in the country. They come with the money and maybe they spend like 30% out of it and they send the rest back. So we are not being proactive. We are not being people who have vision to make sure that, it's all about business also. Every business person wants to make as much profit as possible. But we as a people are yet to learn in terms of this as to how to make enough profit from the tourists who visit us here.
Hello viewers, welcome to the Cape Coast.
Look at the conditions under which they live. So a lot of them were fighting for their freedom. So if by the standards of the authority, they found out you're giving them problems, they caught you and they push you inside here. And once they push you inside here, that ended it all. It was only your dead body that came out. Why? Look at the thickness of this door. And there were 3 outside doors. 1 here, 2 others inside. No hole for ventilation. The frontage here, see this hole for ventilation was meant for the guard who misbehaved. So the guard was put there for a few hours and got out. But the inner room, we went through 2 outside doors, was for the slaves. no hope of ventilation, no water, no food. Meanwhile, they had a smaller door inside. From time to time, they went behind that door, peeped through to see whether they're still alive or dead. And if dead, they open this one, call another slave who come and pull you out and drop into the sea. As to how many perished here, we don't know. But one day for human beings, enough people died here. So all of us, we're going to go inside, have a short experience of what happened, but no, yeah. The assurance that we are all coming back alive. He also said that the sorting room, now when the ship arrived, those that were healthy, strong, fit, were selected to continue the journey. But those that were weak, sick, or show signs of infirmity were pushed into this extension. There's no way out there. So you remain there either for survival or death. And when you die, you are thrown into the sea. And if by divine intervention you survive, you got well, fit again, they have to wait for the next ship, which took about 3 months to arrive. In those days, therefore, it took a ship about 3 months to travel from Europe down here. So once you are brought here, you must be prepared to spend about 3 months here.
Kumbe Terezie, briefly summarize what you have been telling us.
Right. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Personally, I think that there's the need to revamp the cultural groups in Cape Coast, because there's the need to help the cultural groups in Cape Coast come up again, because they help to improve tourism in the central region. And also, I think that it is necessary that government and stakeholders should come to our aid, because we are doing our bit to supplement what government and stakeholders are doing, but we cannot do that in isolation from each other. They need to come to us, or they need to welcome us when we knock on their doors, so that the ideas that we have, we can share with them, and we know how to move forward with that. So we are talking about those hoteliers, those who are into business such as restaurants, bars, the chieftaincy institutions. They should come to us and help us. The cultural groups, musical groups in Cape Coast, and not only in Cape Coast but the whole of the country, so that whatever help stakeholders and government can give to us, then we will also do our bit to make sure that we sell the rich cultural value of Ghana to the outside world and attract tourists to the country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumbe Terezie. This is Aviation Canteen Show. We serve it hot. Governments, private participation, everyone who has Ghana at heart should come to Cape Coast to help our tourist attractions, to help our cultural troops, to help everything that speaks about culture, to help everything that speaks about tourism, that can help boost our tourism in Ghana.